Hi, I am the Down syndrome nanny. I've been a nanny for about 10 years. Right now, I currently mostly take care of children with Down syndrome and their typical siblings. I have them every day. They go to a special school and I pick them up and I hang out with them in the afternoons. We do, different therapies and stuff when we have the time. So that's just a little bit about me, and it's just an introduction, and I hope you enjoy the video. Hi folks, I am the Down syndrome nanny. This is obviously not a professional YouTube video. It's my first one. If you happen to stumble across this, thanks for watching. I hope you like it. And I'm hoping to have more content coming up. I decided to go ahead and do this particular topic. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos and this keeps popping up on my stuff. And considering that I, specialize in kids with special needs and disabilities, I thought that I would have a slightly different take on this than maybe the outraged people have. This is in no way political or against this little child. I find it very disturbing, and I know a lot of people do at this point. There seems to be nothing that people can do about it, because the theme of everything these days seems to be you do you, which in this case, involving a child, I'm kind of having a problem with. So the issue, and I guess first let me say the main concern of this channel and my own personal experience is advocating for people with special needs, particularly kids, educating and making sure that I myself am educated on different topics and issues that come up in this particular community, and to include as many people as possible in everything that I do, because kids need that kind of guidance, and any experience and any sharing in the community is really important. So the main thing that has been popping up on my feed lately is this thing about drag kids. And I think the main reason is because there has been something recently with Desmond is amazing. He's the cutest kid. He was videotaped and photographed dancing provocatively in a gay bar. Basically, he strips at the beginning down from a dress to a Gwen Stefani impersonation, essentially, and he dances suggestively, and grown men throw dollar bills at him. He is 11 years old. A lot of people are having issues with this because there's a difference between you do you and not taking care of your children, because grown men throwing dollar bills at a little boy dressed in drag somehow is more acceptable than if a little girl went to a nightclub and had grown men throwing dollar bills at her. Somehow that wouldn't be you doing you, that would be abuse, but it's okay for this child to dress in drag and do it. That doesn't sit well with me. Now, the other thing that I've discovered recently you can look it up, this whole nightclub thing, there's tons of YouTube videos on it right now, a lot of commentary, because people are rightly outraged by this. The way I'm going to come at it personally is his mother has recently come out on Facebook and said that her son, Desmond, is autistic. This, to me, I don't want to say it makes it worse, but it kind of does. For those people who understand autism, who have experience with it, and other, mental special needs, if you don't like the word disabilities, autistic kids, people on the spectrum, they look at the world and they interact with the world in a different way than typical people. Kids who have autism really rely on the adults in their life as touchstones to guide them and to help them interact properly with the world around them. This is an important thing because in autism there can be so many things that are hard and more difficult. Socializing with people is more difficult. And in my opinion, as someone who works with kids who have special needs, I'm in the community, I've worked with kids with autism, I've worked with kids with Down syndrome, I have friends and stuff with cerebral palsy, there's all these different things. And in my opinion, his mother is failing him. This is not providing the right kind of interaction with, especially grown-ups. He doesn't seem to have many friends who are children. All of his pictures, of course, on Instagram are of him in drag, on shows. There's several pictures of him dancing at this nightclub, getting dollar bills thrown at him. And this is not helping a child who is on the autism spectrum. You cannot tell me that he's not being led in this direction, considering the fact that he doesn't actually understand. Now, there have been a couple of videos where he seems to understand. He says, "Oh, yes, I understand." Of course, there are other videos where it really seems like he's doped up. There are videos of him with Michael Alec. That's a big one right now that is huge problem, because if anybody doesn't know, Michael Alec was the famous party monster back in the 90s with the club kids, that scene, and he murdered his drug dealer, spent almost 20 years in prison for it. And Desmond is amazing, does a YouTube video with him and some creepy dude next to them. And Desmond is not making these appointments for himself, his parents are. His parents are doing this. I have no problems, and any child can dress up, put makeup on, paint your nails. I don't care. It's great. If that is a good way for him to learn how to interact with other people, that's fine. I don't really have my issue is not necessarily that he's dressing up as a girl and putting on makeup. It's the situations that his parents are putting him in that are not going to help him as he gets older. He already seems to know what ketamine is. He does an interview, or he does a YouTube, I guess maybe it was a live stream or something, with another drag queen, and he talks about ketamine. And he even mimes sniffing it off of his arm. An autistic child does not understand where that fits in the world, and they are putting this on him as though he could handle it. He doesn't understand it. And when you're 11 years old, there's not a lot that you do understand, and there's no reason to put your child in that sort of situation, no matter whether they have autism or not. But when, as advocates of kids with these disabilities, it is our job to help them interact with the world in an appropriate way so that their brain develops in the right kind of way to allow them to be healthy, independent adults. Throwing your child at a gay nightclub, having him dance around, is not the way to do that, because in general, most people are not drag queens. He's not learning how to interact with typical people in a typical environment. Doesn't look like he goes to school. So there's just, that's kind of the way I see it. They're not giving him what he needs as a child with autism. He should be in therapies. He should be learning to interact with children his own age, so that as he grows, he can have those peers around him. It is not appropriate for any child, particularly one who doesn't understand the world, and who may never understand exactly how the world is. It's not appropriate to have him around all these grown men dressed as women, dancing around and having them throwing dollar bills at him. How is he supposed to process that? How is he supposed to say, oh, this is just for fun? Because maybe, maybe the grown men at the gay bar think it's just funny to see a kid dancing around on the stage dressed in drag. But he doesn't know that. He's going to think it's normal. That's not normal. So before I get too fired up about this, go ahead and check out all the stuff about Desmond. Is amazing. He's such a cute kid. He deserves so much more than this. He deserves to have people who are advocating for his mental health and his learning, his ability to assimilate into society and be independent, and just what I know of kids who are on the spectrum, kids who have special needs, kids who have disabilities. They need something a little bit more, I hate to use the word, but normal. That's just, there is normal in society. Drag queens are on the outskirts of society. They're great. I love watching drag queens. They're awesome. But not for an 11-year-old autistic kid. That is... So, like I said, before I get too fired up about this, that is my take on it. Like I said, go ahead, look around YouTube, see what other commentators have said about this. There's a lot going on right now because the gay bar thing has just kind of recently come out. And, no pun intended. So, yeah, look around, come back. If you are watching this and you have a comment, go ahead and leave it. This is just my opinion. I'm obviously not trying to hurt the kid in any sort of way. I just am concerned. And I hope that maybe at some point his parents understand that he needs them to be a little bit more grounded, a little bit helping him become grounded and independent. Because as of right now, the way he's going to be relying on his parents for quite some time. So anyways, if you're watching this and you like it, hit like. You feel free to hit subscribe. I'm going to have more content with information and different tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff that involves kids with Down syndrome in particular, because that's who I take care of for the most part. But any sort of special needs, if you have any questions or a topic that you'd like to see, go ahead and leave the comment. I'm not really expecting much because I'm not really a big professional YouTuber or anything, and this is my first video. So remember to advocate, educate, and include.